Good evening, all Kickstarters and project backers. Welcome to another episode of I'd Rather Be Motivated with Scott Green, David Fleming, and tonight's guest, Peter Palmiotti. We'll start off quick here so we can jump in. Mr. Palmiotti, when you're not here on YouTube's, or when you are here on YouTube's, where can people find you and your work?
Pretty much everywhere under Peter Palmiotti. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and other places if you look for me. I'm going to be working on getting a site and getting everything organized, but for right now, just finding me randomly.
All right. How about Retro? Where's the best place for them to find that right now?
Right now, Kickstarter. I forget what the link is. I don't have a special link for it, but
well,
if you
it's
go
not
to
too hard to find. I know when I just searched retro in comics, yours came up, first. So Peter Palmiotti retro.
Yeah, so you could find it. I put a recent new cover on it. It says, the excitement doesn't end here. News coming very soon, something like that. Just working on things like. I was approached by a friend, and he's like, "Oh, I missed your Kickstarter." Yeah, well, lots of people missed it. It was only 5 days. But he's like, "I really want to get an issue." I was like, "Well, you can PayPal me the money, and I'll include you in the Kickstarter backers,
so basically
whatever."
Just find you, and they find a way to buy it.
Yeah, for right now, I'm going to be setting up stuff. I was approached by a totally guy I didn't know, and he's like, I forgot the words he used, like printed books or like just like some random words, and I was like, "Can you explain what you mean?" And he's like, I want to buy everything you have, even zero issues." I was like, "Well, I'm working on a lot of stuff, but I have." Retro's going to be next, and I have the origin of Retro. I guess you can consider the zero issue, and I'm going to be compiling it and putting it one place probably, or at least have links in one place.
Awesome. That sounds like a fan whose email you want to have, so you can keep them posted for sure. When they say, "I want everything you have," why don't you give me an email address? I'll keep you posted.
Mailing list is one of the things I'll be working on, and some sort of collective place. If anything, that's where I've been lacking. But I've been so busy, and definitely recently, because it's like I've had 3 crowdfunding projects in a row and 3 successful crowdfunding projects in a row. The first one was the GoFundMe, where it's exclusive mini comic, which is the origin of Retro's name, or some art if you want at a higher level. And that was to get me a digital tablet, which I'll be ordering this week. Because I've been at Anchor since '91, and lots of people have been messaging me and just commenting me during Hangouts, like, "Hey, you should, get into digital anchors. You're cutting yourself off by not doing digital inking." It's like I love traditional inking, and maybe I'll dabble with it. Maybe I'll try it out on my own. I don't know if I'm going to be serious with it, but at least it opens more opportunities up to me. I'll probably be doing a webcomic on my Patreon page, which is another thing. And I'll definitely be getting into coloring and maybe just drawing with the digital tablet. So be more things I'll be doing because of it. Then there was the retro Kickstarter, which was very short. It was only 5 days. People said I was insane. People say, you can make so much more money if you make it go 30 days. And I was like, it's like, I can't go 30 days. I gotta bring in income. I'm already strapped. It's like, I got a limited amount of window. So 5 days is what I made it. I funded in 26 hours and just, got a little more than the goal by the end of it, and totally happy. Once that money rolls in, I'll be working on retro and another book, Arena, and another book, Blood Rights, and I want to publish all 3 this year. But obviously, retro is going to be the first one out of the gate, and I got more surprises coming up for that that people don't know about yet.
Oh, man, I can't wait for my copy. Yeah, you're definitely a man with many fingers and many pies, and I'm excited to see what it's all about. And I'm really excited for your success and with all this too, because you've been working hard for a while, and it's much deserved, and it's been looking great. So I'm excited to see what else comes out of Has Comics.
Yeah, thanks so much. And obviously the third one we'll be talking about later, but that's the anthology project that we're a part of, and that was funded approximately the same time that retro got funded. I don't know the exact hours, but around about that time, and so excited about that. But I really want to see that go to $100,000 if we can make that happen.
Absolutely, I think we're gonna blow it. Hey, David, how about analog missions? Or I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, before we get too far into it, I don't want to blow past it. I actually wanted to pick your brain, and I know you kind of just touched on it a little bit, but whenever I finished my Kickstarter, I literally had the thought of like, I don't know why I just did 30 days. Why didn't I just make this a week or maybe 2 weeks? Like I had that exact thought of like, it almost feels like too long to just be sitting on this, because the way it always works is you get like everyone all at once in the first weekend, in the first 5 days, basically, which is what you decided to do. You get a few other people who just didn't get a payday until after those 5 days, but you don't, the whole other 20 days in between, nothing really happens. So I've been having the thought of the next time I do one of doing a short one. So what did kind of like make you pull the trigger on doing 5 days?
I mean, a lot of what I do online is all experimental. Some hit, some miss. Probably more misses than hits. I don't care about being a perfectionist online. I'm more a perfectionist on the back end product. So I was, I mean, besides like, just making it short because I wanted to not have to worry about it for too long a time and go back to client work that I have. I really wanted to see if it worked, and it did. And maybe the first time was a fluke. Maybe people were excited by the first time, and I wouldn't get that kind of level of excitement with the second time. But I am curious to try it again. It might be a little while because I gotta focus on getting things done and promises fulfilled first. But I think I will try it again, probably with Blood Rights.
So you're saying it was just completely like, I just want to be different. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I always want to be a little different, and I wanted to. I think Mike Emirates like break the chain, like really do approach it differently than it's been approached by everybody else. Because now that Kickstarter's been around 10 years, and mostly comics have been kickstarted, but now it's like things are blowing up on Indiegogo, and people are going 45 days and 60 days and just like longer and longer and longer. And I understand the thought behind all that, but what if we could do these super short campaigns and just like punch them out once a month or something, and where
dude, that's it was my literal thought was, if I would have just focused all of my efforts into 7 days of just nonstop insane promotion, I almost feel like my efforts could have went further instead of feeling like, okay, I gotta make this last a month, so don't post that yet, and then I'm gonna do that, but don't post that yet, like that kind of feeling. Like, so yeah, I don't know. Seeing you do it made me want to do it kind of even more.
I hope you do, man, and I'll definitely share it out.
I think it's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah, right.
Sorry. I think it's kind of an interesting idea
it's all you.
for you to have done a short one as well, because some of us, like me, I might do one like once a year, maybe 2 in a year. We'll see. I don't know. This is the Werewolves and Unicorns is my first experience, but you have like some big plans and everything. So I feel like me over a 20-day thing or a month thing once a year, blasting everybody with, hey, please help support this thing, is like reasonable. But if you've got, 6 projects you're coming out with a year and you're just blasting people all the time, it might turn into white noise or something like that. But having all these different isolated projects and having a more limited run just seems like kind of a good business standpoint as well, to have kind of like these fire sales on, like, here's this thing, but you got to get it quick. Here's this new thing, you got to get it quick. Instead of just like these long, drawn out, like you said, 30, 45-day things where people are like, gosh, are you still talking about this same thing? So it seems like a good idea, especially with the business plan you've got going, with just having a lot of big ideas. So I think it's going to work out pretty nicely.
Yeah, well, it's like there's plenty of inspiration out there. There's plenty of people doing multiple Kickstarters, and the name that always pops up in my head at the moment, I'm not aware of everybody and what everybody's doing, but Brian Polito of Coffin Comics, Lady Death is his most popular product. He's on number 16, and it's just, it's like he doesn't do short ones, but he's done a lot of them, and he's making really good money on them. And he's definitely an inspiration of, like, in a business sense, of where a lot of people should go. And, it's like, I'm just amazed by the money that's coming in on these crowdfunding projects. And so this is, retro is really, like I said, I've dabbled and I've been part of Kickstarters, but this was my real solo first Kickstarter, and I am so happy with the results. I've learned so much. I kind of went in where I didn't know much about setting up a page, and I'm a guy, I don't read instructions. I just went in and figured it out, and I spent a couple of days, and it says it goes live once it's approved, and it takes 1 to 3 business days to get approved. And it was like late at night, and I hit the button because I was like, okay, the page is set. It could be better, but I'm ready to go. Let me go get this approved. And I hit the button, and it said, okay, you can go live. And I was like, holy cow, what do I do? And it was like, okay, it's night. I'll just go live tomorrow. I forget exactly. Everything's becoming a blur, but I pretty much went live as soon as I could. And it was just like then 5 days straight of nonstop promotion and hangouts. I mean, I started with a 7-hour hangout, and then I had another hour studio synergy after that. And then I ended with an 8-hour hangout with people showing up in both, and my brother was in the first one. And it's just, yeah, it was really powerful to me, and I was so happy. And like more and more, retro is becoming a reality. I mean, this is a character I created when I was in my late teens, and I'm 56 now, so it's no small feat for me to just finally get around to putting him out there. So I'm super stoked.
Yeah, that's an exciting thing, to say the least. The other thing that I liked about...
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome.
I was just going to say, the other thing that I like a lot about your philosophy...
No, please. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm sorry, man. I think our timing is just really wonky tonight.
There's a delay or something going on.
No, you're
Yeah,
good.
sorry,
That's all you
man.
got.
Anyway, I just want to say, Peter, I like how you've really you had like the short thing to kind of create that buzz and fire sale sort of atmosphere, but with all the hangouts you were doing and all those live streams, you really created an event out of it. Like when a new Star Wars movie comes out and everyone's camping out on the sidewalk to just hang out and party with each other because they're excited about this thing. So I don't know. I think all of that kind of doing things a different way and swimming upstream is working out for you. So it's cool and inspiring to see people trying things differently and succeeding.
Yeah, that's definitely it. Like I tried to create a small event out of it. It's like I called it a dance party on my live streams, and nobody was dancing, but it was like just the feel of it being something fun and a gathering and promoting this thing, and we're all in this industry together, and just the excitement behind it for all of us, because it's never just about me. It's about all of us. I mean, it's like I want everybody to succeed at a higher level. So definitely, yeah, it was a thrill. It was a thrill ride.
Awesome. Wanted to make sure I'm not going to talk over you, David. I don't want you to yell at me again. Are you there, David? Uh-oh.
No, I didn't know whether or not it was my turn to talk or not because I really was like, yeah, I didn't want to talk over you. Okay. So I'm just gonna steal the words out of your mouth, and I'm gonna say, thanks, Scott. I'm glad you mentioned analog missions. Let's talk about that next.
I don't know if it was just me,
Do
but
I
you
still have
cut
you?
out
Did I lose
just
you
a little
completely?
bit. Let's talk about what next?
Let's talk about love, baby.
Well, let's pass the mic to you for a second, Mr. Analog Missions. I know that you had a book signing on social media from watching social media the past couple of days, and I'm dying to hear about it. Can you tell us about that?
So last time we were on and doing this thing. Yeah, man, I don't know what's going on with you, man. You have the longest lag ever, and I keep not meaning to. We keep talking over each other. But yeah, so we were on the show last week. We were kind of talking about sort of the after Kickstarter and the fact that you have to keep it going afterwards, and the promotion of the book itself and getting out into people's hands after it's been funded. That's what I spent my entire last week doing. On Thursday, I had a really awesome opportunity. I was interviewed by a comic shop. They do this really cool live interview thing with artists, and in the shop, like I actually physically went to the shop, and they had a really nice little production. And then they went live, and we just like spent the first 30 minutes joking about the book, and then the last hour just joking about nerdy stuff. And then it was really successful. I left that night selling 16 books. And then last night I had like a sort of like book signing release party at a place that's it's called the Pawn and Pint. It's like a board game bar. Equally as successful. I left there and I had sold about 17 books. And then on top of that, the guy there grabbed 3 books for consignment to just like leave on the shelves, because he also sells like board game and nerdy things and fantasy books from other random people and stuff like that. So those will be sitting there. During the sale to a really good sort of friend of mine that I've met over the past couple of events and things I've done. He grabbed 10 books also at wholesale price, because he is like an online comic realtor, and he's gonna be kind of like selling those to that venue as well. So I'm also going to be doing a convention next week in Lee Summit, which is just like 30 minutes from where I am right now. And then I dropped a book off at Bebop, the one that used to be your local place.
Rad. They're a great place.
Yes, I just jumped in there. I always forget the guy's name. I know you are much better sort of like friends with him.
You know, Stephanie and Kayla were the ones I knew. I didn't actually see him all that often, so.
Well, there you go. So.
Also hit up Bebop South, because that's where all those big KC guys go. So.
Yeah, that's actually what my buddy told me last night, was that I should hit that place up too. And because he was like, yeah, they're all about indie. So I went in there and I was just kind of like, hey, I don't know if you guys are support local or what you do. And she was like, yeah, we love that. So I left a copy with her, and she was like, yeah, he'll read it and he'll give you a call Monday if he likes it. And then there's a couple other random comic shops locally that I'm just going to kind of go on the bit of a tour next week, just going to the shop, showing the book, and just get talking with them and seeing what they do. And then I had another thing happen where one of the guys I was talking to last night, who was a comic guy, was talking about that like a kind of a thing that a lot of people do, or that like, I don't know if you know who Comics Tribe is, but they just did a Kickstarter for a book called Wailing Blade, and my buddy Chris Rao, he did like a variant cover for them. So we were kind of just like joking about that and talking about that a little bit. They were talking about that they had made a post to all of their sort of local fans and stuff like, or not non-local fans, I guess is the word for it, to say, hey, who is your local comic shop? And then they just made a giant list of all the local comic shops of the people who had backed it, and then sent books out to those shops also as like a, hey, guys who your local guys supported this book, check it out. And then like as like an opportunity to get it into places that are like not just like down the street from where I live kind of thing. So we've got big plans to continue marketing the book all the way through the end of the month of next month.
That's the way to do it. That's definitely, keep on top of it, keep pushing it, keep branching out, and, and you're already working on issue 2, so.
Oh yeah, yep, right. Currently building the cover right now. We talked about this a little bit on the last week's episode too. I'm the kind of person who organization gets me rolling. So this week I also bought my portfolio that I'm gonna start keeping my pages for book 2 in, and tomorrow I'm gonna cut all of the paper for the first chapter and then put it all in where it goes, and that's gonna get me. That's kind of how I do my, like, once I see all that in there, I'll be like, all right, it's time to make these not blank anymore. I'll just hit the flow again.
Well, it seems like a cool way to like make it a physical thing really quickly. So like, I don't know, kind of switch your brain over to, it's not waiting to begin, it has begun and you're already in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And it doesn't hurt that, like going out and promoting your first issue, showing them, hey, you're working on the second issue. And it's like, not everybody does that. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, here's book 1. In case you're wondering, book 2 is literally in production. Like,
yeah, it's definitely a good thing. Yeah, I saw that image in black and white. It even looks better with your tones on it.
Oh, this guy here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's this is like I'm trying to sample from the old cover to kind of get that same look and feel. It won't get half the nice little dimension of that or anything until I end up putting all that kind of stuff. So because I did it in color for the print, I'm doing it in the same color samples, but then I'm going to end up gray toning it in the end afterwards. But this kind of helps me separate the like values of the tone more, so that once I go black and white, I didn't accidentally use like grays that were too similar to each other and lose the contrast.
Right.
It's a great design, man. It's going to look really cool next to the other one. And like you guys were saying, have like being like, along with that idea of you're working on book 2 now while you're promoting book 1 is a cool incentive. The fact that on book 1 it says book 1 of 3, I think that's a really cool idea for getting an indie comic into a shop and having them like commit to, yeah, so it's 3 books, you've got 1 in your hand right now. On your Instagram you're already making 2. It seems like all of that info combined just is like kind of a, yeah, that's solid, like definitely will carry that. So I admire that, man, because it's going to go in your favor for sure.
Yeah, I had the comic shop that bought the wholesale for the first one. They committed to. They were so stoked about it. They were like, "We're already commit to whenever book 2 comes out. Like, mark us down for book 2, and feel free to like schedule like an event with us too, and of some kind. Like, if you want to do some kind of cool like marketing thing and come up for the day and do like a thing." And they do some cool stuff. They're a comic shop in Peculiar, which is like a tiny little town out in the middle of nowhere, like probably population of a countable amount of people kind of thing. But they do like live shows and online like live sales. Like when their weekly books come in, they do like a live sale weekly pool and kind of stuff like that. That's like a really cool thing that they're able to like be a comic shop out in the middle of nowhere, but still know how to get the market to come to them.
Well, I got my copy, but obviously I've been a little busy. Do you have a elevator pitch for your book?
A little bit. I've been working on it a little bit more here and there. It kind of depends. My elevator pitch, I feel like, has been changing depending on who I know I'm talking to. Like, I'm not a huge fan of, even though, and this maybe you'll appreciate this since you're like, well, I could do things different. I don't like the elevator pitch where it's like, if you are a fan of blank, you should read my comic. Like, that elevator pitch always feels icky to me. Like, I don't care what you're a fan of because I'm trying to make something new and something a little bit different, like, kind of thing. But Unique. At the same time,
yeah.
Do what?
I said unique, like, yeah.
Like, if you're looking for more of that book, then just keep reading that book. Like, why I don't need to make another. Like, I don't need to make another thing to make that kind of fan happy. Like, but like last night in the bookshop and stuff, I kind of did make some of those kind of comments, knowing that my audience there was there, like, it was like a board game, like role play game, tabletop game kind of people, and I knew I wasn't just talking to straight comic book people, so I did say other things like, "Are you fans of sci-fi?" and like, "Are you Warhammer?" or like Destiny fans, like things like that, because people always equate a lot of my like robotic machine and that kind of stuff to those kinds of things, just to kind of pique interest. But what it is what I usually tell people is it is a book about the planet Magna, which is a post-apocalyptic world that was torn apart by war, and see, I'm already tripping over myself, but usually I have it kind of in my brain a little bit better. But I usually tell people, if they like robots and explosions, but they like serious tropes about the way that the world is right now, then it's going to be a good read.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's like I have a line for retro, but yeah, I sort of want to redirect it to what he is or what his universe is, and so I'm still working on that, because I haven't fully scripted the first issue, and he's part of a bigger world. So I think over time it's like I'll just get better and better on how to focus it. That's always challenging. It's like, but you definitely want to sell it good. So it's the whole.
Yeah, and that's why it's like I'm the kind of person who I feel like it depends on who I'm talking to and like in the zone, because I don't start with pitching my book, especially if I'm at a convention. I never start with pitching my product. I start with pitching myself. I always just talk to the person first, and then I kind of usually will feel out the conversation, and then how I talk about the book is always different depending on how the conversation has gone with the person. So because of that, I don't really have like an actual exact thing that I end up saying to people, because guy A was super into this aspect of it, but guy B was super into a different aspect of it. So I feel like I want to pitch it to that guy differently because of that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I could pitch my book and start naming 100 artists and writers that inspire me, and their face will go blank. So I'll just stick to It's like, it's definitely you approach different people differently. That totally jives with me.
Yeah, you can run a danger, I think, sometimes, especially when you're on a con circuit or a book signing where everyone's asking you that same question, and you have that, well, if you like this and this, you start sounding pretty rehearsed and not genuine. And sometimes that's just the nature of things. That's just how it happens. But your guys' approach was just like starting a conversation, and then as you talk about it, you talk about the book. I'm sure you hit like specific points each time or whatnot, but that seems to make it a bit more organic of a thing to catch somebody's attention.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you jumped onto my story, I gave a whole spiel, because another part of the aspect that I like to pump about the book is that, like, I am playing with things that comic books don't always play with. There's a combination of prose writing and of comic writing. Like, in between every chapter, there's almost a full 2 to 3 paragraphs sometimes of just like writing that like introduces new thoughts and topics and stuff. And then it's also a smash of sort of the manga, that kind of thing, because it's done in that kind of format and American style. And that's like a big thing I do like to talk about and push, is that like I like to kind of say like it's like American style comics meets Japanese manga through robots and explosions, like things like that is usually a lot of what I like to talk about.
Yeah, I finally got a chance to sit down with it and start reading, and I really take my time, especially with stuff that my friends have done, where I kind of read it and then stop and look over the whole thing. So I don't just devour it as quickly as other stuff, but I'm really enjoying it, and you've hit some really cool pacing that I've enjoyed hitting, and cool page turns, and excited with how you've done it, keeping it simple, but really, I don't know, it's hitting really well. I like it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been almost one of my number one compliments, is like the pacing and that kind of stuff, and the setup of the sort of how it's told, and that is like huge for me, because in my attempt to sort of tell the story that I wanted to tell it, I was afraid it might not work. Like I might be like, is this only working in my brain because I know all the backstory, like that kind of feeling, which I'm sure you've gotten with when you guys write, like you're like, oh, I want to set up this really cool sort of like narrative here, but I hope it hits home, and they're not like, wait, what? Because there's a couple moments in the book where I feel like I've set up some narratives that you had to be paying close attention to, or you're like, wait, what year is it now? Like that kind of stuff. That's also the kind of storytelling that I just really devour and love, is like when you're reading a book or watching a show or something, and you're like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute, like it showed that scene and it gave no context, and we thought it was happening right now, but it wasn't really happening right now. Now it's like that kind of cool like narrative stuff. I love that, and trying to make that happen in comics is definitely a challenge.
Absolutely. If you don't do it right, you can come off looking silly.
Or just confusing, and then it's like, oh.
Okay, so why the 3D glasses?
Now for a segment on the show called Show and Tell. Just talking about all these cool Kickstarters and indie creators. I got my Young and the Dead book in from Scott Circlin from his Kickstarter that funded. And he's on like issue 4. I don't know if he's doing 6, 7 issues exactly, but he's definitely trucking on this story, and there's a lot where you can buy it. And more than just that, he also included this awesome, I don't know if you can see it very well, not as well as I can, this 3D print, and he sent the glasses with it. And it's really, really cool how he did that. So Scott Cirkland, if you search Cirkworks anywhere on the web, you'll find his stuff. It's SERKWORKS. And, of course, some stickers, because who doesn't love zombies? I heart zombies. That's so cool. So Scott Cirkland, check him out. Young and the Dead. It's a really good comic. But anyway,
yeah.
I just want to take that opportunity. But moving right along with all these awesome Kickstarter projects, Peter, do you have any current Kickstarters that are happening right now?
Not that I remember. Werewolves and Unicorns. D100s.
That's right, Werewolves and Unicorns. We're pretty excited about that. I know a lot of you guys here on the channel already know who Peter is, but for those that don't, you've heard me talking about this project for a while now, just a little over 100 days, in fact. But Peter is also a veteran of the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge, and he's in this book as well, drawn and written and inked his own story about Peter's Griffin. So we're pretty excited about that one. And
there's a griffin on the cover.
I know this cover, and that Scott Cirkland actually that I just talked about. He's also in the book, and he did the front cover for it, and then Mike Emmerich put together the back cover. And I went out all day long today, drove around between 150 and 200 miles, I think, kind of heading down the coast, just hitting all the little comic shops where I could. I wish I could say, there was like 30 of them, but unfortunately there's just not quite that many. But there were some awesome shops. I got to talk with some really cool comic shop owners about the project today, and they were really interested, especially once I'd ask them, hey, do you have a spot where I can put some flyers out? And they're like, yeah, you can put some over there. And I go, and I also have this ash can advertisement that I wanted to give to you guys. And when I use the word ash can even and hand it to them, they're all like, oh, okay, cool. And they all really got into it at that point and started asking me questions and flipping through. And I point out the retailers tier that we have here, that's just a great buy. for like bookstore owners, comic shop owners. If you have a gaming store, it's kind of good for all those crowds. So I know I'm sales pitching it hard here, but I mean, it's awesome. Look at this thing. It's going to have a full color cover. Like I said, this is just like a little advertisement thing. So it's going to be a big, beautiful book.
Yeah, the first one I wasn't a part of, but I was so happy to get into this one. And I did buy a copy from actually Marshall because I didn't catch the Kickstarter when it happened. But it's a great book, and ours is even better. It's like this is really some phenomenal work in there by a lot of great artists, and it's just like an array of styles. And somebody mentioned recently, is like, oh, I haven't read the other stories. Like, we can go and look behind the scenes and read the stories. It's like I'm of that camp where, yeah, I want the printed book in my hands and just sit back and just read a story at a time and soak it up.
Yeah.
And soak up the art, soak up the story. But I've been seeing a lot of it, and definitely, like, he's got all on the Kickstarter page. He's got little strips of the artwork by every creator, and it's just like the Kickstarter page is gorgeous, the book is gorgeous. The freaking video by Corey Kerr, I keep telling people that's the best Kickstarter video I've ever seen. It's awesome. It's phenomenal. It's great.
I completely agree. Like, I urge people, go check out the Kickstarter. Just as like a creator, if you don't have a dime and you don't want to share it because you think it's stupid, whatever, go to it and look at it, because I think you'll learn something cool from it. Because a lot of people put a lot of effort into this Kickstarter, like Corey Kerr. Look him up as well. Because, yeah, that video that Peter's talking about, and it's fun and it's funny. And, yeah, I hope people check it out because it's really cool. Like, you know, just check it out just to see the Kickstarter, learn from what some other folks are doing. You know, maybe buy a book or, 10 while you're there. There's nothing wrong with that. But
I was just thinking the same thing. I need to buy 10 books today.
Right?
Of the same book.
Mm-hmm. Because like they said, they're talking on, we were live streaming on the night of the launch. And someone said it makes a perfect coffee table book because it's got a lot of cool art, and it's 28 artists, and we all created 4-page short stories. So really kind of easy, digestible, almost like an extended Sunday funnies or cartoon strip sort of thing. So easily digestible. And then Mike Emmerich said that, and then Corey Kerr said, in fact, you should buy a second book and keep the second one in your guest bathroom, because all of those stories are perfect poop lengths. You're either a 1-story poop length or maybe a 2-story poop length, or you're just really into it and maybe hit a third one. But people might start knocking on the door at that point. But yeah, I mean, you're going to need multiple copies of this book for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's just it's 100 days in the making, as they say. It's like, yeah, it's more than that, but a lot of people put a lot of work into making it. Then Mike, along with Corey and Marshall and Karen and Carrie. I'm not sure if I'm missing anybody. Maybe Chris McQuinlan. I'm not sure who was behind the scenes of production of it. But a lot of people involved making every part of it something special. And we're still just coming up with ideas, and we're still adding to what we've already accomplished. And, you know, it's like, that's why I really want to see this blow up and really get funded because, you know, it's like the group is incredible. It was created by Kevin Cross, if we haven't already mentioned. It was a phenomenal idea. It was created 100 days of doing anything originally, but 95% of the people are making comics. So we're really focused on that. But you know, it's just an incredible group, and we get smarter and more talented as time goes by.
That's for sure. Oh, Corey Curry. He's in the chat. What's up, Corey? Good to see you. Yeah, well, we didn't even know you were there, but your ears must have been burned because, yeah, not lying at all or just trying to make you blush, but you should because it's an awesome piece of work. I hope you like it.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, Corey, you there?
I am. How's it
I
going?
see a Corey Kerr symbol down there.
Well, that just happened.
That did just happen. I might be muted.
I don't know. We might have some.
No,
I hear
I
you.
hear you.
I think some of us we're gonna raid the show.
Yeah, I think we just got bombed.
Yeah, Corey's just rating the show.
How are you guys doing? No one can hear me. Oh no! I'm gonna.
He went out. He's coming back so he can hear you probably because
Okay,
he's
that's
having
perfect.
issues with his
Yeah,
computer.
anytime anyone new joins, he can't hear them.
Can you hear me now,
Yeah.
Scott?
Yes, I had to get off and give. I don't know what's
great.
going on with my computer, but I can now. What's up, Sir Pirate Corey Kerr?
Oh, not much, man. I just saw a passing ship and thought I'd jump on.
Welcome aboard, sir. Speaking of which, Mr. Shipmate, can you tell us a little bit about your story and contribution to Werewolves and Unicorns?
Oh, sure. My story. I had this idea for this thing, and then it blew up into this giant, expansive universe of this whole thing, and then I had to figure out how to fit it into 4 pages. And so it's got like a lot of kind of montage stuff. But yeah, it's basically Captain Ahab raises a crew from the dead to attack a kind of magical giant narwhal for some reason, which I will leave for those that want to read it. But it's got like all kinds of different cryptids, and I tried to go in as many different cultures as possible. So we've got like cryptids from Japan and cryptids from Ireland, and a few countries in Europe, couple African things, and so yeah, it's and then they all raise the Pequod, which is the ship in Moby Dick, and they go in this attack, and they fight Poseidon's wife and the Kraken and this Japanese clam monster that can make you hallucinate and turns into a dragon, like all kinds of weird stuff. So it's kind of a weird one.
You fit a lot into a small space with that story, and it looks beautiful. But I think
thank you.
you're just describing the story. If we were like to transcribe that, would probably be longer than the 4 pages.
Right.
So the fact that you were able to really get all that in there, and you did. I've once again, I haven't like sat down and read through your whole thing, but I saw you putting it together, and you fit a lot in, but beautifully. It looks really, really good.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was a challenge to do that, but it was fun. And it was kind of collaborative too, because I think I was in I can't remember if I was on the air or in a chat with somebody. Now I can't remember who it was, but it was in the 100s. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to fit all this in there. And somebody was like, you should do like a montage with water. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. It's like I have one page where it just zigzags back and forth with like the breakwater of the waves making up the different panels. And then like different scenes from different fights they were having. So it's kind of like a Guy Ritchie, we'll just speed past this part sort of storytelling.
So like me, I'm curious, has doing this 4-page story, you found a way to condense an idea that you liked that was probably bigger than the 4 pages, and it'll live in this book, and that's where it lives, especially at least for like a year or something like that. I think there was some sort of stipulation where they don't want us putting it out there for free, our stories, which makes perfect sense. But have you thought about having done this where you're like, I really could turn this into an epic thing? Are you getting any ideas for expanding on what you created here at any point, or do you think you found a way to just make this isolated thing and just let it live here?
Oh, that's a really good question. I actually think that this will be the first of many, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to jump in like Joshua Kemble has and spend the next 6 years making one comic. His comic is phenomenal, but I don't have like the stick-to-itiveness to be able to do that. I get distracted too easily. But what I have been thinking is that I could do an entire comic, kind of like the BPRD, Hellboy type of stuff, where they can fit longer stories, but they're often made up of like smaller stories. And so I think from here on out, at least for the next couple of years, whenever I'm in between projects, I might bust out like a 4 to 6 pager that kind of adds to this world, because the way that I've set this up is basically there's kind of like a video game where there's a bunch of little missions that they have to accomplish like all over the globe to be able to do what they want to do. And so I could have, in a few months when I'm in between stories, bust out another little short, that kind of adds to that. And then, maybe in 2 or 3 years, I'd have enough to put a couple hundred pages together and bound it and do like a whole collected edition. But I don't think I'm going to do like a, like this is what I'm working on for the next 6 years type of project.
That sounds like a great idea. Have you read any Steve Niles stuff?
No, but I will. What is it?
So he's a writer in comics, and he's doing like October Faction right now. Kind of always very sort of haunted, darker things, but sometimes also very fun and everything. And there's one particular line, like he wrote one story that was with Fiona Staples back before she got on Saga and everything. So he's been making cool stuff for a while, but he has a lot of work. And I forget the name of this particular line, but the main character is like a ghoul detective guy, kind of a Constantine sort of world, but different. And that's like it. He comes out with every once in a while, there'll be like a 3-part comic, just 3 comics that'll come out in a row. It's always that character, but it's really, and it can be kind of a self-contained thing, but in that world, but he'll have other longer stories that he's doing in between. But once in a while, you'll just get, there's another run of this character, and see that on the shelves, and people kind of keep coming back to it. So
that's awesome. And what was his name again? Because I want to look him up.
Yeah, Steve Niles.
Steve Niles. Okay,
he did 30 Days a Night.
He's got a lot of good, and he works with good artists.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I know.
I think they might even be turning his October Faction into like a Netflix original type thing soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to look into his stuff. Yeah, I've heard of quite a few of these things. I just didn't know his name.
Yeah.
I'm bad with names.
Yeah,
he's like a Peter Palmiotti
really
type. Many fingers and many pies.
Yeah. It's like, I considered the idea.
So anybody seen here recently what the ticker's kind of at on Werewolves and Unicorns? I've been on the road all day, so I haven't been paying quite as much attention as the first 24 hours.
I wonder if he can't hear me now.
Peter, I think he might be delayed.
Oh, I'm sorry, my cousin. I need to stop talking.
No, you're fine.
20 words in a sentence. It's no big deal.
To answer your question, it's at $2,665 with 61 backers. So
very nice.
Yeah, Peter, what were you saying? I can translate for Scott if he can't hear you.
Okay. Let me do it in hand signs.
Yeah, right.
I was saying, like, in regard to my story to Griffin, I was considering the idea of doing something more with it, but I think I'll just wait to see what fans say, and if there's any sort of demand, even if it's only a couple of people, I will do something more. I will do maybe another short segment here and there, just like you were saying.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea. I like that. So you kind of wait to see like the response, and how would you measure the response? I mean, just kind of like what people say on social media, or?
I mean, if they direct comments towards me, meaning like I don't miss them, it's like if they tag me on a Facebook post or a Twitter post or whatever, saying, I read the Griffin and it was great,
Gotcha.
Then definitely I'll know. Or if they direct message me, definitely I'll know, that kind of thing.
Cool. Can you hear Peter now, Scott?
Can you hear me?
No. David, can you talk for a second? Because the only person I can hear now is Corey. I don't know what's going on with my computer.
Well, maybe I'll jump off so I can stop ruining it.
No, like you're definitely. I had this issue on the live stream the other night. Dave and I have been having this issue ever since like my computer crashed, and then I kind of got it fixed again. I don't know why. Just sometimes people's audios are dropping, and I just become an annoying guy who just keeps talking over everybody like a giant ass.
Corey,
I'm sorry about that. I don't know if you guys have time. I know David, I think he kind of had some other stuff as well. My wife is getting to the airport currently, so I kind of had to really sort of cut it off here at 7. And I can't friggin' hear you guys. So it has been a pleasure talking with you, Corey. And for a while, that was nice. And David, it's always a pleasure. But I think I'm going to gracefully bow out now.
Okay. It was good talking to you.
You too. You guys take it easy. Have a good night.
Yeah.
David, you're still with us?
I am still with you guys, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
What were you going to say, Peter?
that's unfortunate. Hopefully we. Oh, I was just gonna say, maybe he can, click on the widget and maybe change the speaker or something on his,
Yeah, that's
to
what I think
hear
it might be. I
everybody.
think it's something like that too, but it's hard to explain it.
Yeah, I wonder
I'm-
what that could be. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
I'm gonna message him and just get him when he has free time, and see if we can fix it offline.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a little nerve-wracking to try to troubleshoot stuff while you're live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or what ends up usually
then there was like
is,
super delay earlier.
in the 10 minutes before we go live, then I'm trying to help him figure it out, and then he's stressing because we're supposed to go live in 5 minutes and nothing's working.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like every time I have a guest on, no matter how much time I give myself, it takes 10 minutes longer. Like I can give myself 3 hours to get it set up. I can give myself 10 minutes. I'm always going to be late because there's always some, I don't know what it is. Like I'm like, okay, there's something happening tomorrow. And so I'll like work, and set everything up. And then I show up and it doesn't work. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to give myself an hour and a half before the show. And I like try to set everything up and it works. And then it stops working right before I go live. It's just like the curse of YouTube, I think.
Oh my gosh, that's super real. I always try to set my mic up in advance because my mic does do that sometimes where I have to like detect the audio settings, disable the other mic, and then re-enable the mic kind of thing. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll set it up 20 minutes and just leave it. And then in that 20 minutes, somehow it re-enables the old mic again every time.
Oh man. Yeah, my speakers do that. It seems to jump speakers a lot. I don't know. It's strange, but
technology.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I thought it'd be fun to just kind of jump in and crash the party.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was actually. We'll have to. Me and Scott will have to have you on sometime as a guest. Now we've had Peter twice, so.
Yeah, anytime. Just shoot me an email. I'd love to jump on.
We'll officially we'll act like it. You're not a guest, and we'll let you do the whole pirate thing again, and then we'll make it.
It wasn't a pirate thing. I actually sent them the link.
No, that's what I figured. I heard another voice, and I was like, "Wait, what?
What is going on?" Yeah, Peter sent me a message. He's like, "I'm going on the show. It'd be hilarious if at the end if you just jumped on." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Well, it's perfect. Hey, why don't you guys close it out then? Kind of tell us one more time where to see the 100s and that kind of stuff, and then we'll kind of wrap this up because, like you're saying, we both have things we got to get to tonight. So,
yeah, the 100s. Actually, what is it? 100 Days of Making Comics.com.
Yep.
Brings you to the website, and this is the red button there where you can click, and that brings you to the Kickstarter page. If you add Palmiotti to the end of it, we have a little contest going on, and whoever gets the most clicks gets some perks. So that's my special link, like / Palmiotti. Corey's, yours is what? CR something?
It's Corey K. But you should jump on Peter's. I don't want to step on your links here at the end. But yeah, just if you just go to 100daysofmakingcomics.com.
Right.
And I think most of us, if you know any of the creators, most of us have it right now in our social media profiles and stuff. And so if you can find me at coreykerr.com and then click on any social media profile and I'll have it there. So
yeah, everybody's been pretty heavy about sharing it out and talking about it and making videos and everything. It's kind of insane to be part of a project this big.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really fun. But
yeah,
it was cool. So go check that out, and you'll see all kinds of cool art that looks completely different, and it's different styles and everything. So it's way cool. Like I'm excited. I've looked at about half the stories in depth, and most of them at glances, and there's going to be something there for everybody. So it's a great little book.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with everything you guys have kind of like put together too. I was telling Scott that it's like really cool that he got into with you guys because like I was flipping through too before I backed it, just looking at some of the images and things, and I didn't even realize half the other people that I do also follow who are also in it, and I was like, oh, awesome! Like this this is nothing but good creators. It's going to be awesome. I'm super excited to be one of the backers on it.
Yeah.
If you check our show notes, we have put both those links in there. There should be a link to just the general 100s and Scott's link as well. Yeah, get in there, check it out, follow it, back it. Doesn't matter what link you click on, right? Just back the project and make it a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Click Peters for right now.
There you go.
I should. All right, so I'm gonna remove Scott's. I'll put Peters in there instead.
Oh, sorry, Scott's in it as well. Dang, do Scott's. Just don't do mine tonight, because then I'll feel really like a pirate, like I went in and stole everything.
This is your tactic. You're crashing everyone's live show throughout the week. And like,
yeah, I'm gonna be
link.
I'm gonna be blacklisted by everybody.
All right, well, that concludes another edition. I'm stoked to have you guys on. Corey, thanks for crashing. It was fun. We'll have you on as a legit guest maybe next week or the week after while we keep this going. But deuces to you guys. See you guys next week. Thanks for everybody in the chat. And remember, if you want to find us, you'll find us at I'dRatherBeDrawing.com on this page, obviously. And then you will find Scott at Scott O Green, and you'll find me at Mr. David Fleming. So, have a good weekend and have a great week. See you guys.
See ya.
Take care, everyone.